Catch you next time. Love you, my friend. Trust me. All the respect in the world. Love you.
Online program on WAVS Radio, halfway through already. Get your call in now. 305-948-1170, 954-792-1170. A number of prime ministers of countries in the English-speaking Caribbean have been saying that they have a memorandum of understanding with the U.S. government about who they will accept, which deportees they'll accept. And the prime ministers keep saying that they will definitely not accept criminals. Now we're talking about people who are from a third country, not the country sending or the country receiving, but from a different country. Basically, the intention is to clear out this country of certain people. Some of their home countries don't want them. Some of them, this is their home country because they were born in this country. When, though, is there a difference between an agreement, a contract, and a memorandum of understanding? If we are to go by precedent, if we are going to go by history and what has been taking place, especially in the last year or so, I am going to submit that this administration is not prepared to acknowledge any difference between these things. I am sure there is some lawyer somewhere that will argue that a memorandum of understanding is a contract. They probably won't even say it's a kind of a contract. They're going to say it's a contract. These are the same countries, though, who this government is saying, listen, these people from these countries don't even bother trying to apply for a visitor visa. Confirmation, I think, of what I said earlier. Certain people are just not wanted in this country. You're asking these people to take these people who don't belong in those countries, who you don't want in your country, but you're saying to this country, no, I don't want your people to visit either, you know. No. And that deposit, they call it a bond, it's really a deposit. Attorney Susan Sidalus was saying 5, 10, or 15,000. I'm skipping the 5 and the 10, going straight to the 15. In fact, a lot of the reporting that I have seen, it goes straight to the 15,000. There are so many ways that you lose that $15,000. There are ways to get it back. You get a visa, you put down $15,000, you get the visa, and you come up, you get a one entry visa, you come up and you spend 2 weeks and you go back home. And you can prove that you did go back home. Not just that you went back home, but you prove that you go back home. You can get your $15,000. I have a sneaky feeling it's going to be made more difficult for you to prove that you did go back home. And something else the attorney pointed out is that you are so excited, enthusiastic, optimistic that you go and you pay the fee before you even apply for the visa. You ain't getting it back. And as a caller at the top of the program said as well, take care how you travel on the roads. Okay, because, and guess what? It also applies, if I think about it, to people who go for immigration interviews. Because sometimes you even go with the attorney, but you never told the attorney, you know, that you have this outstanding warrant for whatever. Could be maintenance, child support. And you forgot about it, or you think you get away with it. You know when they come to look for you? Not immigration. You know when they come to look for you, the local police come for you? When you go for the immigration interview. So remember now, a good thing to do is to tell your attorneys, you know. I had the privilege of conducting a number of citizenship drives over the years. Gosh, did maybe, I'm thinking maybe half a dozen. One of the things you learned hosting those events is what some attorneys have to deal with. They go to an interview with a client who has applied for an immigration benefit, and there is something that the examiner brings up during the interview that the applicant never told the attorney about. That don't work, you know. Listen. A caller shared it with us weeks and weeks ago. If you think you need a specific response to a question, a query, a demand, you have to tell the attorney the truth so they can fix up the answer for you. I'm not saying a lie, you know. But the way in which an attorney can answer any question, you and I can't, because we're not trained. Because there are certain ways to answer questions. And the reality, none of this is new. None of this is new, people, so deal with it. Questions are sometimes created to trick you. That's it. There are some questions, and I'm not talking about immigration, I'm talking about sometimes a job application. The questions are set to skank you. And you answer it wrong, Buduf. It's very important. And, you know, I don't feel guilty, you know, to be frank. I don't feel guilty sounding like I'm touting for attorneys. No. Listen. Even what you consider the simplest of questions, a trained practicing attorney is going to understand that question in ways that you have never dreamt of before. So, and listen, the reality, you know, not me, not the attorneys, but our callers keep warning the community. For example, the caller mentioned some across our community, and some of them are valid, legitimate. A lot of us, correct, some of us, maybe too many of us, keep driving around with transporter plates on our cars. Listen. You're not supposed to do it, you know. Especially if you're not in the business of moving motor vehicles from one place to the next. I see people with them parked up at their house. No. The cop has the authority to take the plates from you if you can't prove that you're in the legitimate business of moving cars from one place to another. And if you've seen it, one caller told us that the cop had stopped him like the third time and said, if I see you again, I'm going to take. The cop has the authority to do that because the transporter plate is for a specific and particular purpose for people in a particular and specific line of work. Yeah, sometimes, you know, it's convenient for you. Your friend set you up and lend you a plate and think. The cop's not playing. I beg you, please.
Yep.
When you see the reports in the news, sometimes on social media, pay attention. U.S. we've been talking about it, but this is one of the official notices. U.S. consular officials have been instructed to deny visa applications until the screening and vetting processes are re-evaluated. The decision effectively closes the door to new travel to the U.S. from a host of countries, including Antigua and Barbuda, the Bahamas, Barbados, Cuba, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, Listen, you heard the names? Yeah. Reality is that the president in his campaign basically said he was going to do this because there is this need or desire on the part of some people who don't want certain people in this country, and he's just following up on a campaign promise. And I think people should reevaluate their politics after this full year of the current administration. Part of what makes politics possible is that people are able to convince people to support them in an election by sharing their plans with people. Sometimes the plan is not but mouthwater talk, you know. But sometimes the plan is, as the saying goes, etched in stone. People mean to do those things. And one of the things that people have to come to terms with as well is that, and Carla mentioned it earlier, when things get done at a particular level, it happens only because, not because this person said it was going to happen, you know, but that there are people who facilitate it happening. Okay? People in the know, people who have looked at the situation, current and recent and even old history. Virtually every country in the Spanish-speaking Americas, all the people in the Americas is not the US. The Americas is North Pole down to the South Pole. Everything inside of that is the hemisphere known as the Americas. But Colombia systematically removed all African ancestry people from its population. They had, and guess what? That apparently is what this administration is doing in this country. Almost no sign of the fact that they are African Colombians. What you do? You bring in people from Europe. It happened, people. Hello?
Mr. How you doing, sir?
Hey, we're good. How are you?
Listen, I just heard, I'm in St. Lucia at the moment.
Okay.
And I heard somebody just called a talk show thing in St. Lucia.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying that the U.S. visa access has been banned for 75 countries, including Jamaica, St. Lucia, and many others.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And he said, we don't know if it's propaganda or not, but they said it's online, and they said it was reported by JVC TV in Jamaica.
Yeah, but why are you so doubtful, though? Why?
Beg your pardon?
Why are you so doubtful?
I don't know. I just figure out. Maybe I have not. I just figured.
No, listen. About 5 or so minutes ago, I read a similar notice.
Oh, so that's why it's circulating.
Wow. No, man. It's been in the news. None of this is new. It's been in the news.
So why is that? Why that is happening? You have any idea, Winston?
No. But I just said it.
But what Jamaica? What Jamaica got to do with that? What St. Lucia got to do with that? And Dominica and Antigua and Barbuda?
Listen.
Could you imagine that?
No, you don't have to imagine it. It's for real. Listen. Before, in the campaign, the current president promised he would get rid of certain people, and that's what is happening right now. That's all. None of this is new or alien or foreign. He promised to do this.
So it looked like he wanted to eliminate the Caribbean people and only bring white people to America, like Norway and Sweden and all them places.
But that's been said. That's no if or and. That's been said. No, thank you for calling and sharing. Yeah, and I think what that the caller is of some value, some significance, because if nothing else, he's talking about a news story that has been reported in St. Lucia, the specific news report originated in Jamaica. That's very important. It means word is getting around, and that is important. I want to submit that the hurricane that smashed into Western Jamaica was a blessing in disguise. If nothing else, new construction that has been in need for ever and ever is taking place and going to take place. In addition, people are visiting Jamaica who would not otherwise visit Jamaica, and therefore are learning the reality of the people named Jamaicans and the country named Jamaica, and that, I'm convinced, will redound to the benefit of Jamaica. But there's an addition. One caller told us last week, he said, listen, in Jamaica, every 4 out of 10 people who are down there to help in the reconstruction, they're never going to leave.